Are we ready for a new kind of operating partner? One who translates strategy into results? If so, just how much of that operating partner's duties can we offload to AI? And how much of it requires a human to truly be in the loop? 5%, 15%, 50%? Stick around and find out. Hi, I'm Courtney Baker, and this is AI Know-How from Knownwell, helping you to reimagine your business in the AI era. As always, I'm joined by Knownwell CEO David DeWolf, Chief Product and Technology Officer Mohan Rao, and Nordlight CEO Pete Buer. First, I'm excited to welcome Pete Buer back to the studio for a double dose of the latest and greatest in AI news. Pete Buer is back and with us this week to break down some of the business impact of the latest and greatest in AI news. Hey, Pete, it's good to have you back.
Good to be back. I missed you.
Same, likewise. I'm really curious to get your take on this week, Pete. The Wall Street Journal reported this week that Cognizant is rolling out Anthropic's Claude AI to its entire workforce, all 350,000 employees, and co-selling it to clients. Pete, what's the takeaway here?
Well, I can't help it. My mind goes to the commission on that sale.
Yes.
Can you imagine seat licenses for 350,000 people? But as you waved at it, it's not as simple as an outright sale. It's more complicated. And as we get past the headline, we find that Cognizant isn't just buying for its own purposes. It's going to be bundling AI into enterprise sales, and in particular, Anthropic's Claude AI into enterprise sales. So this is partnership. Why would they be doing this? You might ask. Are you asking? Shall I tell you?
I am asking because honestly, if it were me and I was their PR, if I was Anthropic, I would really want them to just announce the 350,000 employees using it.
So two reasons. Anthropic, on the one hand, needs more boots on the ground to sell its enterprise AI. Nice problem to have when your market is so big that you don't have the ability to get after it yourself. For Cognizant's sake, they too need to up their game around AI builds. When customers are looking to contract with Cognizant for work transformation, it's not enough to be just an integrator anymore. You have to be a builder. So, cool story, bro. What's the takeaway? For me, the Cognizant deal logic is a big takeaway for leaders that AI is an active ingredient in pretty much all transformation work going forward. It's not just exotic tech for one off use cases in a vacuum. And that trickles down to the average employee because the technology is becoming mainstream. It's not just coming for your job all the time, but it's coming to be part of your job all the time. And we'll know we've gotten there when you sit down for a long day of onboarding and your first module is orientation to the corporate AI.
Yeah, this is so interesting. I'm curious, maybe a different side of this coin, Pete, is for people that may be wanting to work with Cognizant. Is it good or bad for the people that may be working with them that they have made such a strong partnership with a very specific provider?
Well, I guess it's a good question. I guess the answer is otherwise they would be working with Cognizant's own proprietary work approaches and tools. So in a way, this is just another tool in the in the kit that they're bringing to work on behalf of customers. But yeah, I think you'll get to situations where buying organizations will have made commitments to other AI products, and they'll have to sort it through. I have to assume Cognizant has options for that because they're not going to want to lose a deal. So it's a good question. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so Pete, since it's been so long since we've seen you, and well, just frankly, I love doing the news with you. Uh,
Back at you.
we're going to double up on news stories this week. Certainly, there's never a shortage of things to talk about when it comes to AI. So, knowing your long history with the rabbit our
Nah.
one. Even if it's not something you wear, the rabbit's never going to die for this podcast. We're always going to be talking about the rabbit. So TechCrunch ran a piece recently on Digg founder and VC investor Kevin Rose's approach to evaluating AI hardware. His rule is a little unconventional. Pete, can you summarize this one for us?
Yeah, you bet. So, unconventional is a great way of putting it, Courtney. Kevin's observation is that if you feel like you should punch someone in the face for wearing it, you should probably not invest in it. Now, I use that screen in a lot of other circumstances, but shall we say in this case, it's pretty on the nose. What Kevin's talking about is the tension between what a product looks like and does and what it should. For example, it's great if your dorky AI glasses can record and analyze everything your date is saying so that you can throw it back in his or her face later in the evening. But how's that making them feel? And is that making you succeed? However, we choose to define that in this context. What's the takeaway for leaders on this one? This notion of social acceptability isn't limited to obtrusive, visibly worn hardware. It's every bit as important in the design and use of the tools that we put in place for employees and customers. I think about Knownwell. I think about our own platform in this regard, right? Knownwell measures relationship health, detects commercial signals, and identifies problems and opportunities in real time. But it's not surveillance, right? It's about providing insight in the most constructive way to the user to help turn them into heroes. So, final thought Kevin makes the observation that given this challenge, investors who will do the best going forward and who'll be the most helpful to their entrepreneurs and portfolio companies will be the ones with the highest EQ. So, those who can anticipate and solve the emotional problems in a startup concept. How ironic is that?
That is so ironic. And maybe my biggest takeaway is that Kevin probably wouldn't invest in the Labubu craze.
Who would he be punching in the face for that one? I don't know.
Pete, thank you as always.
Thank you, Courtney.
Meetings, they can feel like a waste of time, but they don't have to. They can and should be a strategic asset. That's why we created a brand new workbook to help you make sure your meeting cadence is setting you up for success when it comes to your clients. Download this resource to help you run AI-informed meetings that spark alignment and action. Download your copy at knownwell.com/meeting cadence and turn every meeting into momentum. In private equity, the operating partner is often the bridge between strategy and results. As executives increasingly clamor for ROI from AI, is it time for a new kind of operating partner? I sat down recently with David and Mohan to find out. Okay, David, Mohan, here we are. I want to talk today about the idea of an operating partner. So obviously in private equity, the operating partner was often the bridge, the person who helped, translate strategy into results inside of the portfolio company. In the AI era, something similar is happening, only this time the partner isn't always human. We're starting to see AI operating partners emerge, intelligent systems deployed directly into delivery teams, helping consultants, analysts, and project leads make smarter, faster decisions in real time. So today, the question is, what happens when your consulting bench includes AI? How will forward deployed embedded intelligence change the way professional service firms create value?
Were you laughing?
I was. I loved your use of the forward deployed. I think we're trying to play buzzword bingo here and get them all in.
Forward deployed
Y'all
partner.
can tease me, but who you're really teasing is, what was his name? William Teleford.
Forward deployed operating
You
partners.
can't tease him when he's not here to defend him.
Love it.
It's but that's what an operating partner is. They're forward deployed into the port
Totally.
call.
It's so true. That's why it's funny. The funniest things in the world have elements of truth, right?
That's true.
It's private equity geek humor. It's kind of like engineering humor.
The good place to start here is having the institutional knowledge or the knowledge management and creating that connective tissue between that knowledge and execution. Right? So in that sense, the AI operating partner is not just a co-pilot, but is actually the connective tissue, right? That where as a professional services firm, you're offering advice, you've essentially productized your knowledge, and you're offering it out on engagements to whether it's a portco or a client, and then you're providing services around that. That is sort of how I'm thinking of this.
There's so many questions here of how this is going to play out, right? And I think we could easily get into a debate of, is this the downfall of professional services, right? If we're productizing this and knowledge. I can't help but go back to, if we look at intelligence and break down the hierarchy of data, information, insights, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, there are certain things that are genuinely human, right? I would say wisdom, right? The prudential application of knowledge to the situation at hand, right? AI is a prediction machine based on historical things that have happened. There is no wisdom in what AI produces. Now, there is a lot more access to contextual information to make knowledge more precise and applicable to a certain contextual situation, but there's still no wisdom, right? And so what I start to think about is not just the introduction of AI into this use case, but what is the role of the human being? What is it that only a human can do? And what I think we're going to see in professional services is more and more that the rote, right? The research, the combing through historical information, we're able to actually access more than we've ever been before to make wiser decisions. But it's going to be because the AI is giving that context to a human that can exercise wisdom with more information that has been summarized for them, that has been found throughout other places. And if you've ever run a professional services firm before, you know that one of the major problems is knowledge management, that you have this deep, 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 deep knowledge that does exist, but finding it, accessing it, actually productizing it is super, super hard. I think AI is going to be able to help us do it, but it doesn't mean getting rid of every single human being and just, quote, productizing knowledge, right? People hire McKinsey or BCG or these great consulting firms because we have trained up through this apprenticeship system humans that are able to exercise and apply industry standards and benchmarks and experiences that they've encountered. They're able to use their wisdom to apply it to our situation. That's not going away.
Yeah. But what it does mean, though, is that you're redefining the consultant's job, right?
Oh, totally.
It moves from doing to more interpreting, right? So more orchestrators of insights. Ultimately, I think firms will have to retool and think about what are the incentives around relational capital, the commercial creativity, then rather than the sheer analysis that consultants
Totally.
have done, right? So this is a fundamental redefinition of the job that good companies will go through.
And I like to think about it as it's the elevation of work, right? We're making it more human. Just analyzing and looking through data isn't as human as we can get, but exercising judgment, creativity, coming up with something truly novel and new that can't be found in past patterns, right? Connecting the dots between interrelated concepts, right? This idea of abstract intelligence, of observing things and connecting them in a way that they've never been connected before. All of that is uniquely human. That's what the best consultants, right? The best, I think about one of the areas I think about one of the interesting professional services firms. You look at private equity funds, right? We started off with that operating partner, right? The analysts, right? That right now are doing like 80 to 100-hour weeks and killing themselves in spreadsheets. Forget the spreadsheet work. Those are the people that become these individuals that are able to connect the dots better than anybody else, that have this wisdom and expertise. How do we get them doing more what is human and take off their plate that which, right? They've kind of been the laughing stock of these folks go in and destroy their lives for the first 8 years of their career, right? And let's make a more human environment. And to that point, Mohan, I think you hit the nail on the head. We're reinventing the way that job can be done.
Yeah, the consultant's value shifts to judgment, empathy, storytelling. Those are all
Amen.
uniquely human qualities away from the rote synthesis. It's a good development, right? So because we've always paid for consultants to do the analysis and the rote synthesis, and now you can kind of use them for the right reasons.
That's right.
So what I hear you two saying is that we should be expecting more from our consultants.
Oh, 100%. I totally, I absolutely believe that. Yeah. I actually believe that this is true across the board for AI, that productivity, right? Productivity is doing more with what you have. It's not efficiency, right? And I think we have focused on, oh, my job gets 8% more efficient, right? And if I do that a million times, that's a lot of money. No, 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 no. I think the real value of AI is on the growth side. It's that with the exact same amount of labor, we can do 100, 1,000-fold what we have historically done. I think we're going to see that play out.
Am
Yeah.
I the only one that twitches when he says 1,000-fold? I'm like, I don't know, that's possible.
Yeah, the
Okay,
consultant
that may have been
is
hyperbole. I don't know. But it could be true.
so the consultants are going to be with the clients and the analysts are going to be in the cloud.
I think and we've talked about this, like, that AI can make, when it comes to just like employees, it can make kind of an underperforming employee kind of, maybe rise to the middle. But for like high performers, like AI may make them more productive, but it's not going to have as large of an impact when it comes to thinking about consultants. Is there also a risk? Obviously, I said, should we be expecting more? Yes. But is there also a risk that this goes the opposite way, that consultants begin to deploy AI poorly and it actually brings down consulting rather than making it better? We're all expecting more and getting more, but rather the end result is mediocrity.
So, Courtney, there's actually, I think, a corollary research on this that we can actually look through. If you look at AI and training on data and artifacts, there is no doubt that the inference that is done on human-produced content is just phenomenal, leads to breakthroughs in research and development and new insights and new correlations, right? But if you begin to put AI through an iterative loop of concluding and inferring on its conclusions and inferences, and you go too far in that, actually decision making dramatically erodes.
Hmm.
And the reason why comes back to something that is uniquely human, right? What's uniquely human is the ability to, in an abstract way, see concepts, not just the physical world, and connect dots between things that are seemingly unrelated. Okay. So for example, I can teach a chimpanzee that this is a banana, this is a bottle. But if you think of the human language, there are a lot of words that we use that are not physically represented. Right. And so the physical world is easy to represent in systems but these concepts are hard. Right. And so machines can only imitate us based on our use of those words and predict which one we will use next. It can't come up with them themselves. These concepts actually erode their performance over time because they're just using them based on a predictive model versus new human ingenuity of putting things together. I think the exact same concept can be applied to the question that you're asking for consultants, right? If all you're doing is reusing over and over and over and over and over and over again the conclusions that have been derived from AI and there's no human in the loop, then I think that's problematic. That is why human in the loop systems are so important. How do we get that human judgment, understanding, wisdom, creativity, those things that are uniquely human into the equation, right? And why the answer is not replacing the human worker, it's elevating the human worker. How do we get more work in truly human ingenuity versus route analytical work?
I think ultimately this is about human and AI pairing at scale. It's not going to be easy, but that is sort of the co-authoring strategy that's so important because where it will work is when there are past patterns is the right answer. It's going to work really well, but when you really need breakthrough thinking, which you've not done in the past, it's just going to fail, and that's where the human judgment comes in, and you have to kind of improvise on the analysis that you've gotten through AI.
David, Mohan, I think this is such an interesting conversation. And here's to us all elevating with AI and not going the opposite direction. Thank you to, as always.
Thanks, Court. Thanks,
So
Mohan.
much.
At the end of every episode, we like to ask one of our AI friends to weigh in on the topic at hand. So, hey, ChatGPT, welcome to the show. This week, we're talking about what an AI operating partner for professional services businesses might look like. What do you think?
Picture an AI partner that quietly runs the back office, analyzing client data, drafting proposals, and spotting upsell opportunities before you even ask. It could join meetings, summarize discussions, and then automatically update project plans or invoices so you can focus on the human parts of the business.
And now you're in the know. Thanks as always for listening or watching. We'll see you next week with more AI applications, discussions, and experts. Hey, if you made it this far in the episode, first of all, thank you. And second, we know that AI is changing all the time, and so we've got you covered. Here is another great episode for you to watch to stay in the loop on what's happening in AI and business. And second of all, we'd love for you to subscribe. You can do that right here. I've always wanted to do that, by the way. So do that now. That would be great.